The Australian Grand Prix, a traditional curtain raiser taking place today under one-off conditions. We're here in the beautiful surroundings of Melbourne for an exhibition race. The Australian Grand Prix, but not as you usually know it. Alex Albon takes his very first pole position. He lines up on the grid alongside Sebastian Vettel, also a surprise inclusion on the front row of the grid. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Charles Leclerc in third, Lewis Hamilton in fourth position, Bottas and Verstappen on the third row, with Kevin Magnussen doing brilliantly for Haas, Norris, Ricciardo and Grosjean behind. Poor performances from the Racing Point boys, they're sandwiched by Carlos Sainz. Giovinazzi and Kvyat line up on the 8th row, Latifi and Raikkonen, followed by George Russell and Pierre Gasly with a very, very poor performance in qualifying from the Frenchman. Okay, here we are then, ready for the 5 lights to go out for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go for this 5-lap exhibition. Alex Albon gets away terrifically well. Leclerc and Vettel fighting into turn 1. Verstappen runs a little bit wide. He's got Hamilton and Bottas for company behind. Albon leads them down into turn 2 then from Leclerc and Vettel. Leclerc and Vettel scrapping for second place. Who's going to get there? Leclerc just about holds around the outside and keeps the place from his teammate. Verstappen still languishing in 4th with the 2 Mercedes, 5th and 6th behind. There's a little scrap going on there between Magnussen and Lando Norris. Magnussen just about holds on. He's going to have a real job on his hands today, keeping all of those cars behind him. A very, very surprise inclusion in the top 10, I have to say. Did brilliantly in qualifying to put his car in 7th place. Now riding on board with Max Verstappen in 4th place, trying to put pressure on Charles Leclerc, or Sebastian Vettel should I say, but coming under pressure from Hamilton. Verstappen goes for it and he gets it completely wrong and he ends up into the barriers. Max Verstappen, is he out of this race? He's still got the car going, but that's promoted Hamilton to 4th, Bottas to 5th and Magnussen to 6th. Oh, Max Verstappen, that is a disastrous first lap for the Dutchman. There was no real need to make the move as Giovinazzi and Stroll have a little duel. I think that's for 14th place. Stroll sends it down the inside. Giovinazzi holds firm as they come round this final right-hander. Brilliant scrap there between the Alfa Romeo and the Racing Point. Now let's have a look at what happened to Max Verstappen. Oh dear, there was no need to make that move at all. Got right on the inside of the curb and it was only going to be a disaster from then on. Vettel had the line. Verstappen should have yielded, but elected to carry on, and fair to say, has paid the ultimate price. He will have a very, very hefty time differential to make up. Looking on board from Lewis Hamilton, as you can see, Verstappen getting all out of shape. That promoted Hamilton, you can see there in the background, as Verstappen boxes, and that is his race absolutely ruined. We only got 4 laps left to try and put this right. I don't think he's going to catch up to anybody, to be honest, as he comes out of the pits in stone dead last. He's half a second behind George Russell in 19th. However, for Alex Albon, it is a very, very comfortable afternoon so far. He is still in 1st place. Charles Leclerc in 2nd, just a couple of seconds behind him. But it's Hamilton, the man on the move, and he is looking to get past his arch enemy, it would seem, for a couple of years, Sebastian Vettel. Obviously, the two of them have incredible respect for one another, have demonstrated that on several occasions, but Hamilton looking to try and get past the Ferrari driver for what will be 3rd place. It's a real surprise that Mercedes only lined up 4th and 5th on the grid. 5th and 6th, should I say. They're only on the 3rd row. So, yeah, Mercedes' lack of pace in qualifying really bamboozling, to be perfectly honest, but they're trying to make up for it in the race, as Hamilton not quite DRS zone yet. We're still only on lap 2, but he does have the slipstream as he lines up Charles Leclerc. Can he get the move done? He's not going to be close enough on this occasion. That is Sebastian Vettel. That's the 2nd time I've made that mistake. Apologies for that. Magnussen and Sainz behind, having a decent battle there, but the real battle is between Vettel and Hamilton for that 3rd place. Leclerc sort of beginning to bunch them up a bit now. Albon is gained quite a couple of seconds over this remaining pack. But yeah, Vettel and Hamilton is going to be the real battle for third and fourth. Bottas behind, not quite threatening as of yet. Can Hamilton make a move as we head into the middle sector? Leclerc still holding firm. And what's going on behind? We've still got Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen still holding firm in 6th place. He's doing a tremendous job in that Haas, but there's a brilliant battle opening up between himself, Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, Norris Ricciardo going to be teammates next year, so that could be quite interesting, as Grosjean, the second Haas, holding up quite a few cars as well. And I think that's Lance Stroll, and Lance Stroll is going to make a move on Romain Grosjean. He's going to get it done, and Carlos Sainz is going to have a go as well, and he has made the move stick. So the Haas losing 2 places in the span of 2 corners, going from 8th to 10th. And unfortunately for Romain Grosjean, he has ended up losing out. He did well to keep it in front of those guys for so long, but couldn't quite hold it in the end. And I think Magnussen has suffered the same fate, as Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo have passed him in the space of a straight. Norris up to 6th, Ricciardo up to 7th. And I think for Magnussen, unfortunately, I think that battle is well and truly done. He's got Esteban Ocon behind. Not as much of a threat for now, but this is the real battle coming back once again to Hamilton versus Vettel. Hamilton still not able to pass that Ferrari car, and he must be getting incredibly frustrated. He can see Alex Albon just eating out the gap, pulling away from the 2 Ferraris, and this is frustrating Hamilton even more as he tries to make his way past Sebastian Vettel. Into the S's we go. Hamilton should have DRS this time. He opens up his rear wing and he tries around the outside. Is he going to make it stick? Lewis Hamilton right around the outside of Sebastian Vettel. Vettel holds firm. It comes into the 2nd corner. Hamilton right around the outside again. And I think this time he has just about got the move done. Up into 3rd place goes Lewis Hamilton. His next target is Charles Leclerc in front. So let's have a little look at that replay. Hamilton is a little bit wobbly as they headed down into this corner. Hamilton holding it round the outside. Vettel did stay firm for the defence. It went to a 2nd corner, and Hamilton just about taking the place away from Sebastian Vettel. He had to work for it. As you can see, Vettel didn't give him a lot of room. Hamilton had to do it the hard way and kept his car in there, but I think Vettel knew full well he didn't quite have enough pace to stay with the Mercedes driver, and unfortunately he is demoted to 4th. Max Verstappen, looking at him, it's been a wretched day for the Dutchman, still well and truly behind everybody else. That spin on lap 1 really ruining his race. As we look at the trailing cars, not an awful lot going on between them, has to be said. Although Stroll and Giovinazzi were having a little battle. They're still having a little battle. Giovinazzi gets past Stroll. Lance Stroll comes back at him. And this is a scrap that's been going on for pretty much the whole race. Lance Stroll holds firm for now. Both have DRS as they come down into the braking zone. Raikkonen on Latifi is that. That is for 17th place. And the Alfa Romeo just about hanging it around the outside as we ride on board with Kimi Raikkonen. And he just about gets the job done. So, good enough for Raikkonen. However, back to the main battle at hand. Leclerc versus Hamilton. Hamilton has closed right up to the Monegasque. He's going to try the same move that he did on Sebastian Vettel. And is he going to make it stick? Leclerc's going to make it tough for him as they come round into this right-hander. Hamilton right around the outside. Leclerc not giving him an awful lot of room. But as they come down into the penultimate corner, Hamilton give him a little squeeze. Leclerc's still going, but nobody can manage Alex Albon today. Nobody can match Albon. He comes across the line to take his first Grand Prix victory. Who's going to get second? It's Hamilton, just about from Charles Leclerc, and Valtteri Bottas behind. What a battle that could have been. Bottas coming up late. He could have taken 3rd place, but the day belongs to Alex Albon, who takes his very first Grand Prix victory. A superb job. Start to finish, absolutely bossed it. Leclerc comes home for 3rd, just behind Hamilton in the end. Valtteri Bottas in 4th place. What a battle that was between Hamilton and Leclerc. Bottas making it a 3-way battle at the end, but just didn't quite have enough on the straights. Carlos Sainz finishing a brilliant 5th for McLaren. And, 6th should I say. Ricciardo coming round as well. Ocon in 8th. And the 2 Haas boys rounding out the points finishes. But today belongs to Alex Albon. Controlled it from start to finish. There's been a lot of critics since he joined the team, but today it was a faultless performance, I have to say. Christian Horner will be very, very happy indeed. The Red Bull mechanics congratulate themselves on a very hard-earned victory, as Alex Albon goes up to receive his trophy. And there we go, he holds it aloft, his first ever Grand Prix victory. And he will enjoy that moment for a very, very long time as the champagne is sprayed. Hamilton and Leclerc getting involved as well. They're no strangers to the podium. But for Alex Albon, a brilliant day. His first ever Grand Prix win. And it's a day he'll cherish for the rest of his life. Okay, so let's have a look at the classified results from that Grand Prix. Alex Albon takes his first ever Grand Prix victory. Lewis Hamilton finished in second place with Charles Leclerc completing the podium. Valtteri Bottas in fourth place. A solid performance from him. Sebastian Vettel, the big loser in the end, all the way down in fifth place. Lando Norris finishing sixth for McLaren. I might have said Carlos Sainz earlier. I meant Lando Norris. He finishes in sixth. A solid drive from him. The two Renaults of Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon in seventh and eighth. And the two Haas boys incredibly unlucky on the final lap. They were pipped by both Perez and Carlos Sainz. So Sergio Perez finishing ninth for Racing Point and Carlos Sainz finishing in 10th for McLaren. Magnussen and Grosjean putting up a fine effort, but not quite getting some points for the American team. Kvyat finishes in third, Lance Stroll in fourth, Pierre Gasly worked well from last on the grid, he finishes 15th, Antonio Giovinazzi finishes ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, Nicholas Latifi finishes 18th ahead of George Russell, and Max Verstappen finishing last after a dismal first lap. It was a very uneventful Grand Prix for him after that. So looking at the constructors from this one-off event, Mercedes taking 30 points, the most of any team. Red Bull taking 26, with Albon getting the fastest lap as well, just pipping Ferrari, who got 25. Renault in fourth place with 10 points. McLaren have 9, Racing Point have 2, and Haas, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo and Williams all failed to score. So what a sensational day for Alex Albon. A very special day for him, taking his first Grand Prix victory. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you will join us for the next one. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you for the next race, whenever that may be.